out on things because they didn't meet a deadline, okay? Very hard to step back and wait for them to come to you for advice, okay? What will happen is that you will find, particularly in the first couple of weeks as they're making the transition and they're homesick, and they won't say, I'm homesick. They can get particularly irritable about something, and it's a crisis, okay? And they'll call you up, or worse yet, they'll text you. Like, do you ever have like whole conversations on texting? And I say, stop texting and call me, right? It gets ridiculous after a while. But they get all worked up about something, and they're going to come to you because you are the person that they can dump on. You won't sleep all night. The next morning, you're going to call them first thing in the morning, and they'll be like, well, oh, I'm fine. Oh, that's really no big deal. Okay? So try to keep things take things with a grain of salt, and recognize that they don't have a lot of other outlets.
Don't engage.
Just listen. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard. Allow them to make choices. They will make a lot of choices right now. A lot of choices. Okay? And what I want to remind you is that the choices that they make at 18 are very different than the choices that they will make in 5 years. In 5 years, they'll be 23. And it goes like that, by the way. But the choices that they'll make at 23 are very different than the choices at 18. When they're in a structured environment, where they're living on a college campus, so try to let them make choices as best you can. Again, I'm not so good at this, but it's important that they learn how to do that. Communication plan. Again, back to our experience. When I was 18, class of 1984, Oswego, so now you know how old I am. When I went away to college, when you went away, whether you went to the military, worked, or moved away, whatever you did, how often did you have to communicate with home? Once a week? Did you have a day at a time?
Yeah, you had to wait by the payphone.
Yep. You had to go to the payphone, wait your turn in line, and if the phone wasn't full of dimes,
Yeah.
how crazy is that? Once a week. Sunday at 4 o'clock for me. Right? I have already emailed my daughter once today. I've texted my son twice today. How many of you have already texted your son and daughter this year? Of course, it's what we do, right? So be thinking about your expectations related to the communication plan. What are your expectations? Try not to do what I do, which is, if you don't answer me right away, I'm going to shut off your phone. Try not to do that, because they're trying to navigate this environment. They're trying to navigate this world. Try to let them do that, okay? Doesn't mean that they don't love you. Doesn't mean that they have died. It just means that they're trying to kind of be in their new world. Now, my daughter left home and went as far away as she possibly could. How far away do you think she went? Japan. So senior year of high school, junior year, she announced that she didn't want to do her senior year. She was going to graduate early. She wanted to do the Rotary Youth Exchange Program. Good idea, right? Maybe London, or maybe Italy, I don't know, South America. No, Japan. She went to Japan. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. I get choked up every time I say it. To put my 17-year-old, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, 5'2", precious little thing on a plane to go to another country where she didn't speak their language. She ate only chicken nuggets. I knew she was alive because Facebook has that little green dot. That's how I knew. They told her not to communicate with me for 2 months. 2 months. Because if she communicated with me, it would be more difficult. Okay? Nobody spoke her language. So, think about your communication plan. And even though you want to check in with them regularly, think about who that's helping. Okay? And come up with a plan before they come away in terms of how you're going to do that. Just come up with a plan, all right? Try not to be, I'll shut your phone off if you don't contact me within 3 minutes of me sending you. The first 6 weeks are really critical. In the first 6 weeks, they are likely to be homesick. They won't tell you they're homesick. New environment, new people, new place, new food, new sleeping patterns, new everything. Everything is new. Okay? First 6 weeks are critical. So support them as best as you can in terms of what you think they need. Now, we have some students that run away and they hardly even say goodbye, right? We have clingers. You guys remember the kindergarten clinger? Like they're on your leg and you're trying to walk out the door. You know your child, whether they're a fleer or whether they're a clinger. All right, so think about how you're gonna manage that. First 6 weeks are really critical. Overall, this goes to other things, but the idea of supporting optional experiences. So if it's possible, think about the other things that they can get involved in that will help them in terms of develop personally, professionally, academically. Things like internships, study abroad, alternative spring breaks, the kind of things that will give them exposure to yet other things. My daughter, again, she's now a world traveler, right? Comes back from Japan. Can you imagine the attitude that girl had when she came back from Japan? She comes back, goes away to college, another SUNY school, because she wouldn't possibly go here, and wants to go on a study abroad the following summer, because the world is now just her oyster. And so she went between freshman and sophomore year to Ireland. She lived in Dublin, Ireland, in a university there, and she did an 8-week internship where she worked on the set of a reality cooking TV show. Okay? That's just what she does. She just wants to go big and to go great. I will tell you that that experience, though, led her to her internship her senior year, which was in New York City, and she worked for a production company as an intern. She found it on Craigslist, scared me half to death, and she worked for a production company that produced Amish Mafia and Breaking Amish. Remember those shows? She was personally responsible for taking those Amish kids, teenagers, around New York City. And she would say to them after they did their shoot, she'd say, "What do you want to do?" And they'd say, "We want to go to McDonald's." It's like, "We are not going to McDonald's." They'd say, "Okay, Buffalo Wild Wings." "No, we're going to go to a museum or something." But that internship she had between freshman and sophomore year is what gave her the opportunity to get that paid internship when she was a senior. Now, she just finished up a show working for NBC, 24 years old. She's an associate producer. She just finished up a show on El Chapo for NBC, going through the drug tunnels between Tijuana and San Diego. God help us all. And is now working, just finished up a show in Alaska, spent 2 months in Alaska this winter, right? You get the picture. So, support those optional experiences because it helps them in terms of all their future activities. Okay, the don'ts. We'll go through the don'ts a little bit quicker. Try not to invite them home before they are adjusted, particularly those of you that live nearby. Okay? They need to stay here, and they need to be here on the weekends. Everybody stays. Very unusual for us to have the residence halls clear out on the weekend. Even on Labor Day weekend, the residence halls remain full. So try not to invite them to come home, all right? They need to make it through those first couple of weeks. Don't tell them about the great food that they're missing. I made your favorite dinner tonight. Don't tell them to bring home their laundry. I did this. I was bad about that. Don't give away their rooms or their pets. And try not to alter your lifestyle too drastically. Right? Harken back to the hippie days, circumcised out. Try not to change your life too much either. The adjustment is for you as well. Okay? It's a huge void. When that last one leaves, who's my veteran? Who's my soon to be empty nesters? It's just over. I mean, there's no more activities. It's just over.
But your life isn't over.
It's great.
No, I'm young, okay?
Your life just began.
This is my neighbor. dear friend, Dr. Julie Pretzett, Dean of Communication and Unity Arts. Her children grew up across the street from me. We carpooled together. We co-parented. I swear we co-parented. She and her husband go on about 4 trips a year. They were just out in LA, and so I teased her that I was going to put her segue tour picture up. But it's a huge adjustment for you two, and enjoy it. Just enjoy it. It's a new phase in your life. So we're going to transition over a little bit to kind of expectations and our role and what your role should be in these classes. What we expect is that students are going to take charge of this experience. They need to take charge. We've been in charge. I was in charge. They need to be in charge. Okay? They need to know about the rules. They need to know about the policies. They need to know about email. They need to manage their email every day. How many of you have email? How many of you manage email every day? Okay? They need to manage their email every single day. Every day. Now, they might be on Gmail, they might be on Yahoo, they might be on whatever. They need to be in their school email every day. Starting now, even before now, you need to be in there every day. They need to keep track of their progress academically. They need to know about it. I think the hardest thing is that they know they need to get help when they need it. Is that a life adult skill? Get help when they need it. Right? And we expect them to do that. Right? And we're going to talk to you about how we support that. Whole new place here at college. The rules in high school are different than the rules in college. Academically, it's pretty significant. Add dropping, course withdrawals, withdrawal from college, all attendance. We take attendance at, am I supposed to talk about that now? Yes, yes. We take attendance, every faculty member is required to take attendance in class. Okay? Every faculty member is required to take attendance. How they use that attendance is up to them, or in some cases their department determines how they use attendance. So if it's a big, huge lecture hall, they're expected to be able to take attendance. And with technology, texting, cell phones, it's easy. They can take attendance. But they don't all use the attendance towards the grade, right? In another class, in my teacher class, my students can only miss 2 classes. And if they miss more than 2 classes, I drop their grades by 25 points on the 600 block. Okay? So they need to know what the attendance policy is in every single class. And they can do that. All right? Some departments have department policies. The English department has a 6 absence policy. If you miss more than 6 classes, your grade is dropped by a letter grade.
Which is a lot of absences.
6 is a lot.
6 is a lot.
Okay? So they need to manage that. Now, I'm going to switch gears on that a little bit and tell you that sometimes emergencies come up. And so students need to save those 6 absences for when they're very sick or when they're sick and when there's an emergency. So it's not, geez, I don't feel like going to my 11:10 class today. Right? That's not a good use of your absence. All right? Now, if an emergency comes up, a couple things will come up. Sometimes they get sick. Okay? And why do they get sick? Because they're in an environment with a lot of other 18 to 21-year-olds, right? They also get sick because they stay up too late, they don't take good care of themselves, they don't eat right, right? You know all this. And so sometimes they get sick. And when they get sick, they need to go to the health center. Did you hear from them today?
Yeah.
Great facility, great people. But if they need to be out of class, we have a policy where they call my office, it's called the Compass, and we can do an out-of-class notice with them. So sometimes you might want to get them home, yes? Especially if you're nearby. You call us, tell us that they're away from class for more than 3 days, and we send a notice out to the professors. It's not a legal excuse, it's just a notice. And if the professor wants them to bring in a note to verify the absence, the professor will tell them. Okay? Sometimes there's a family emergency where they just need to get home. All right? So even though professors have these really strict attendance policies, we know that these other things come. But it's really important that they have made a good first impression with their teacher. They're on time to class, they're in class regularly, they're turning in their assignments, right? Just like work. Right? So if the teacher has come to expect that they're a good student, they're prompt, they're on time, and then this emergency comes up, consideration can be used. Okay? Make sense?
That's just three consecutive days.
More than 3 consecutive class days away from campus and we'll send out the notice. Again, not a legal excuse, but it just is kind of verifies that we were. Final exams, and just being away from campus in general. They need to be here. 15 weeks of the semester, they need to be here those 15 weeks. Okay? So if you always have a family vacation over Thanksgiving to go on a cruise, please don't pull them away from campus while they're still classes are in session. You need to think differently about that. Same thing is true with final exam week. Final exams are scheduled along with the class time. And by that what I mean is that a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9, 10 class, final exam time is predetermined. So you can go online, they get it on their schedule. Not on the schedule of my student. It's not on the one that Michelle's going to give them.
I think they've added in a couple of weeks. They used to have them right in the beginning and people just got horribly confused. So I think in a couple of weeks they will add the final exam.
So if you're concerned about how they're going to get home, and you want to book a flight or trying to make some arrangements to get them home, wait until you know what the final exam schedule is. There is nothing worse for a first-year student than to have a travel conflict with their final exam schedule. Okay? Teachers don't like that very much. And so make sure you know what the final exam schedule is before you make it even. Need to be. College calendar, you can go online to our website, you can search college calendar, and you can get the next 6 or 8 semesters out. They're all scheduled. Okay? All calendars. Okay. Academic rules, there's also behavioral rules. So if you imagine having 4,300 18 to 21-year-olds living in your house. 4,300 of them live on campus. Okay? So we have code of conduct, behavioral expectations, we have rules, we have policies, we talk to them about those policies, okay? We know how to handle them. Sometimes they get into some shenanigans, as you might imagine. Okay? The bottom line is we live by civility and respect on this campus. 2 values that we hold very important. All right? The student handbook is online. You can find it as well. You direct them to read it. You direct them to know it. They won't read it until what? Trouble. They get in trouble. Okay? You want to peruse it, you're welcome to get in trouble. All right. So here's where we get into the tough part of the conversation. We're going to talk about FERPA. Who knows what FERPA is? Educators? Probably? Yes. FERPA, Family Education Rights to Privacy Act, also known as the Buckley Amendment. It's a federal law that was passed in 1974 when parents were having a difficult time getting access to their kids' educational record K through 12. Gave the rights of that educational record to us as parents. Right? It's the same time as with the fair credit laws were coming out and all kinds of stuff were happening at that time. What it does, though, is it transfers ownership of that educational record from the child to the college student when they enroll in college. So the rights to that educational record, the ownership of that educational record transfers to them when they go to college. That means they own it, you don't. Now, I have college age students. See, look how quiet this got. I have college kids. Well, one's still in college. It's a significant investment on my part, yes. So I get it. But the law is they own the educational record. Now, Michelle's mom, who I've met, is a wonderful lady. I always get the same one. She said,
Don't
conversation. By the way, the grades don't come home in the mail. I can remember running out to the mailbox a certain day of the year to get my grades before the grades come out in paper form. They're available online. 8 weeks into the semester, freshmen get midterm grades in 100 and 200 level classes. 8 weeks, second week in October. Great time for you to say, how are you doing in your classes? And they'll say, fine. You'll say, no. What have you got in English 102? What do you have in History 102? What is your midterm grade? And you can answer the questions. Now, you also can get access through a proxy. And proxy is available in Oswego, and the students can join in Oswego and give proxy access to their academics and to their financial side. 2 different proxies to whomever they would like. You need to think about how you're going to manage that, okay? You want proxy access, you want to be able to go in there, or you want to be able to wait and let them navigate it on their own. That's up to you for you to decide, okay? Most of them like to give away financial proxy. Many of them give away the academic proxy. Okay? You guys need to decide how to do it. Okay. Questions on that? So you can get access to the proxy. You can get access to the educational record, which is primarily things like what classes they're registered for, what the grades are in those classes. Right? And it comes from the registrar's office. Yeah? I'm sorry, can you? They will be talked to about that as well, too. Not quite like this. Right? We're not saying to them, keep your parents out. That's not kind of what the message is to them. But they know, they will know very quickly that they have to give you access. Now, my son just turned it over. He didn't care. That's a good thing he did. Oh, good. If they live for the whole time they're here, we don't have to do it every year, right? You do it once and it holds until they change it. You do it once and it holds until they change it. Okay, that's a great question. So my son moves from Michigan, comes to Oswego, where his mom works. I've been here forever. Second semester sophomore, first semester sophomore year, he comes home before finals week and live a half an hour away. And he's pretty much sleeping on the couch, doing whatever. He's not studying. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You want me to guess? 1.4. You know how much that costs? 1.4. He texted me. Because he knew if he sent it to me in person, I would just go ballistic, right? So I said, okay, well, you can get a job, you can join the military, or you can go to the local community college, but you are not living in the country club anymore, right? And so that's the following semester. He commuted with me and Dr. Pretzak in the car at 7:15 every morning to come here. He hated it. He hated every second of it. I went out and bought this beautiful dining room furniture because they had all this extra money. She got a 3.8. He got a 3.8 that semester. The following semester, he got a 4.0 this summer. Following semester, he got a 3.1. Following semester, he got a 4.0, and last semester, he got a 4.0. Turned the kid around. He needed to fall down.
Do you work here too?
He works on campus. He works in the fitness center. I hope you don't see him. I told the story last time, and I was in the fitness center, and this, he looks like me. And he said, "Okay, Mom," and his mother goes, "Oh!" So yeah, if you see him, don't tell him I told you that he got it.
Well, perfect handle that.
I know. Can I release his educational record to you? So Michelle's going to talk to you a little bit now about, so you need to think about your relationship with them as it relates to all this stuff, but we're going to talk to you a little bit about how different college is now than it was for us and all of the different levels of support that we have.
I get stuck now. So I'm Michelle Van, I'm coordinating first year programs, and I'm an alum as well. And I graduated here a long time ago as a psychology major. Kathy was the director of orientation that I went to.
I was 12.
We figured that out later when my mother brought me the packet out of her paperwork and said, "Do you remember this?" And her name was on it. So, but we have a lot of things to support students. And I'm going to talk to you tomorrow in one of the round robins with your students sitting next to you. Sure. Is that better? Wow, okay. So I'm going to kind of give you a fast preview, especially since we only have about 10 minutes left.
I'm sorry.
And that's okay. That's why I just said Jackie. You'll hear from me tomorrow. But we're going to do a round robin where I'm going to talk about first year expectations and responsibilities and the supports that are out there with your students. And then they're going to go on to an academic toolkit and talk about all the technological supports they have, which I'm going to kind of preview for you here. So we have first year experience programs, first year advisement, first choice. I'm going to talk about these all tomorrow. Oswego Reading Initiative, where the students are asked to read that book, Outcast United, and the whole campus reads it, and there's some events and things, and they're going to hear about that in another presentation as well. Our goals for these programs are that guru that we talked about. They tell us that there's 3 things we have to do within the first 6 weeks to make sure that the students are successful. We need to connect them to a faculty and a staff. We need to connect them to upper class student, and we need to get them involved. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that tomorrow, but that's what our first year programs are based on. We want a student to have people that they can go to and get good information, and that there's somebody looking out for them. So that's what our first year programs do. The academic toolkit, they have a variety of things. I'm sure what some of you saw their My Oswego accounts, where they have all their student information, their courses, their math placement scores, all those things are right in My Oswego. They have Degree Works, which is the audit. That is a wonderful new product that we've gotten, I guess it's about 3 or 4 or 5 years now. But it outlines their entire degree. And it gives them opportunities to look at things like, I want to add a minor. What would that look like? And it pulls up the psychology major and the art minor and says, okay, this is what it's going to do. Or it gives them the opportunity to say, what if I take History 102 next semester? What's that going to fulfill? And they can plug it in. And then they can look at, what if I change my major completely? What is that going to look like? And where do all my AP credits and my college credits, where does that all fit in on my degree audit? So they can go home and look at it, and they can process new every day. They can look at it. So that's where they should be looking to see if their AP and college credits come in. We are expecting AP credits to come in any moment now. They told me on the 6th, which is today, so we'll see. But definitely within the next week, we should be getting all the AP scores. And then college credits will be coming in as they send in those transcripts. Starfish Early Alert, I'm going to talk about that as well. But that is an early alert program where we ask the instructors how the students are doing. And then it flags the students if there's issues, gives them kudos if they're doing great, but it also lets the advisor know how they're doing. And I'll talk more about that tomorrow as well. And then Laker app is email, and we have Google Drives, things for them to store all their documents and things. So they're going to learn all about that tomorrow. Want to play it? Okay, let's skip that.
No, go back and sit with this.
It's going to play. So there's a mobile app, and we were going to show a video, but since we're running out of time, I think I'm going to skip it. But there's a mobile app that you can download, and it does things like tells them lab room, like what time the labs are open, the library, what's for dinner. Mostly people look at it to see what's for dinner in the dining hall. Frankly, that's probably, it has a GPS piece in it, it has some calendar pieces, so it has lots of different apps for things for food, yes.
Is that what's the day information?
Well, they have a New York alert that gives them that information as well. Okay, so I'm going to skip that. Okay, sorry if I'm making you dizzy. So, just to give you a basic outline of what students need to get in order to graduate, so their degree outline, that's another piece of the academic toolkit presentation. They'll get very specific information on this. But degrees are broken up into 3 pieces. Everyone has major requirements. They have specific major requirements that they have to do depending on what major. Business has accounting, marketing and management. Those are all kind of whatever. Then, depending on how many credits, you also need to do electives, major electives. So you can double major or minor in order to fill those in. And you need 30 credits of gen ed. So the 30 credits of gen ed is the courses that everybody has to take. And those all have to equal up to 122 credits. They need to do 42 upper division credits. So eventually they'll start taking those 300 and 400 level courses, and they have to make sure they have 42. Some of those will be major courses. They can only take up to 54 in a specific discipline. So if they love art, they can only take 54 credits in art to go towards the degree. After that, they don't count anymore. Sometimes things like communication, broadcasting, PR, journalism, that's all one discipline. So they have to be careful in some of those areas. They have to get the 122 credits and they have to have a 2.0 GPA. So that's basically how the degree is broken out. It's in the catalog, it's on the degree works audit, and their advisors will help them figure all that out. Okay? And then they can graduate. Okay. So this is kind of what the degree audit looks like. I know it's kind of small, hard to see in there, but they can check their AP and college credits I talked about. They can plan their courses, and they can review all their major requirements, and they should check it constantly. Keep reviewing it, and if there's questions on it, something doesn't quite look right, they need to talk to their advisor. Yes?
Is that the app or is that
That's on the My Oswego website. And some of these things are in the app, but not their full degree audit.
It's an amazing tool.
So the students have been pre-registered for their schedules. They gave them out this morning at 8 a.m. and sat at that table with admissions. And some people came over and we made some changes to their schedules and looked at things. But the pre-registration team, I have a team of about 30 faculty that work throughout the summer registering all 2,200 incoming students one by one by one. So they register them for those courses. They use the information sheet